Welcome back everybody to a brand new video, and today once again I'm doing a challenge run in Final Fantasy II Pixel Remaster. If you're not seeing my only freemium run, I suggest you go watch that. But for this challenge, I wanted to punch above my weight. This is the fist only challenge, but to make this run that more difficult, I can only use auto battle. What does that mean? Well, let's go over the rules. First is the namesake, fist only. I'm not allowed to equip any weapons to either hand, asterisks, we'll get back to that later. Second, auto battle only. At the start of every fight, I must hit the square button to enter auto battle. Auto battle basically uses the last action you took, but since I have yet to take an action, it goes with attack, and will hit the enemies closest to the party, then to the furthest. Third, I can use magic and items outside of battle. Fourth, only level when necessary. I don't want to spend 10 hours at the start of the game getting good stats just to power through the game, so unless I die to a boss again, and again, and again, and again, I can't spend time leveling up. What makes using only fists so difficult? Well, for starters, let me explain how levels work in Final Fantasy II. Basically, by doing certain actions in combat, would increase your proficiency with the action. So, using sword, X amount of times will level up sword, which means your sword will swing more, and will also increase your strength stat, as you're using a physical weapon. Health goes up by taking damage, MP goes up by using magical spells inside of combat, and the other stats are tied to other weapons and or spell. On the defensive side, getting hit with physical attacks increases stamina, but getting hit by magic attacks increases magic resistance. The reason fists are so bad is while they do level as quickly as anything else, punching something X amount of times will level up the amount of times you're allowed to punch an enemy in one turn. Finding better weapons that have added damage steps means near the end of the game, if you had a sword, you could be doing 2 gate damage, but with a fist, well, you'll see. Early game though, just using fists is no problem, and the first boss is a joke. But I am noticing that I'm getting hit a lot. But for now, no worries, as this will just help increase my health and stamina. FYI, I'm selling all the weapons I get so I can get the best gear available at each town, as well as stocking up on a healthy amount of potions. The first real boss I'm worried about is the Adamantoise, since it has a very high defense and is designed for you to use magic on. No problem, as a crit is a guaranteed to do some damage, and since I have 4 party members hitting the boss, should only be a matter of time before it's dead. Bonus, the Adamantoise was so nice they decided to spread out the damage, though Maria was very close to being dead. The next boss, Red Soul, goes down in 3 hits. Well, 2, but since Gordon is so weak, I needed an actual hit. This shows the power of fists early game. Just punch something over and over again, but the next section proves the fists are going to get outclassed fast. Entering the Dreadnought, and enemies now do status ailments with their physical attacks. And since my evasion rating is so low, not only am I getting hit a lot, but I'm guaranteed to get afflicted with a status ailment. My plan so far has been stock up on a healthy supply of potions, but now I realize that I need items to remove my status ailments as well. For after the fight, of course. I can't use them in the fight, so I have to pray that I get de-stunned quickly enough, and even though the party members are blind, that they still land some hits on the enemy. Enough for them to go down. So after a quick run back to get some resupplies, the second run through the ship is the same, but I plan to leave the ship after rescuing the princess just to keep everyone healthy and resupply. That was the plan until I learned that the Dark Knight actually stops you from leaving. Great! So now I have to manage my remaining healing items. Luckily there is no boss at the end of it, just get to the core and leave. Castle Diest, and the cave I keep getting lost in. A lot of the enemies I can still one-shot, but the Hill Gigas and others have higher defense, which means that they can take a few more hits, and they can hit hard. Yeah, I may have good armor, but having high defense can only get you so far when the party is incapable of dodging anything. Guess they never learnt the 5 Ds of dodge. I should mention that I haven't been too fussed about the 4th member of the party. Minwu and Joseph were fine, as they were appropriately similar power to the party, kind of. For a monk, Joseph was a lot weaker than the rest of the group, but Gordon and Leia are not so great, so if they die, they die. Magic is not an issue as the enemies tend to deal magic to all if there are multiple party members alive. This means everyone takes less damage and generally powers up the party's evasion to magic. The boss fight with the Chimeras is fine after going through the cave. Blaze doesn't do too much and the physical is about the same. It does help that each Chimera goes down in 2 hits and I have 3 party members up. Now for the boss I was dreading the most. The Llama Queen, as she can cast a particular status element that can cause a lot of problems. Charm. Now this was not a problem for my Frinion only run, as Frinion had such a high evasion he couldn't even hit himself. This team does not. Immediately Guy gets charmed and punches Frinion, but Frinion and Maria are doing decent damage. The Queen kills off Frinion, and Guy hurts himself in his confusion, leaving Maria to pick up the slack and kill the Llama Queen. I resurrect Gordon in preparation for the next section. I was gonna res him before the llama fight, but I decided to see if the main cast could beat her without him. He was a backup if I struggled with the fight. Speaking of fights, the next boss, the Behemoth, it's kind of a joke. I do decent damage, his damage is okay, but goes down without a struggle. This area also has enemies that can cause confusion, so I tried to kill everything in one shot. A big issue I'm having with Altar Battle is not being able to select the target I want to fight. My party members can one-shot certain enemies or kill enemies quickly that do a lot of damage and or status elements, but since they're in the back row, they don't get attacked for a while. Now it's time to store Castle Finn, and it's crazy to think how different this run is going to my only Frinion run. Sure, this run is going faster as I have more attacks during my turn, so I can kill more off in one turn. But enemies Frinion had no problem with can massively take away my health. But one thing is for sure. Most bosses are a joke, like Grotto here, who goes down in a few hits. Now to explore the basement of the castle. No boss here, just the same enemies as before with the same problems, and more of the previous bosses turning up in the enemy party. Just a lot of post healing, and I make it out just fine. It's what comes next that is the real problem. Flans are a Final Fantasy staple. Some jelly looking enemy that can cast magic and is weak to magic. They have such high physical defense because it's hard to punch jelly, and it's designed for the player to cast magic on. But I don't cast magic in this run, so I have to pray for a crit because that does guaranteed damage. But it would be fine if the Flans in this game cast magic, since my magic defense is not so bad. But no, they do a physical hit. Okay, that's not a problem. Oh my god, it poisons as well? That makes every fight with these bastards a race to see if I can get enough crits off to kill them, or I die to poison. What's worse is poison is a percent base damage. Great for leveling up health, not so great when you're in a race to kill, and a guaranteed percent of your life goes every turn is not great. To make it slightly fair, they do have low health. But to be on the safe side, every time I want to move to and from Mysidia, I have to save scum. And I'm not looking forward to seeing a lot of these black Flans in a certain cave. Red or yellow ones are annoying, but they have a lot less health. Anyways, off to the tropical island, where the red and yellow Flans that don't seem to cause poison as often as black Flans, but they can. And they will. Finally make it to the boss with 50 potions remaining, and it's another 4 enemy boss, the Bighorn. Not a massive problem, they go down in 1 and 2 attacks depending on who is attacking, and my stamina and defense is good enough that they don't do too much damage. When the Flans are a bigger threat than the boss, you know something's gone wrong. And now for Hell. Not Hell itself, that comes later. I'm talking about Mysidia Cave. Home to all manner of horrors, mainly the Black Flan. This is where I start to quick save scum. Just in case I get ended by those Black Flans or anything else in the cave. But just before I was about to open the chest with the crystal rod, disaster strikes. Ambush. Rios. These guys can cast Bad Breath party-wide, which can cause all sorts of status ailments, like Stone. Great! It's a close fight with the last 2 party members getting confused and no longer confused. Leela gets turned to stone, but Frenion summons the power he had from the Frenion only run, which you should check out after this video, to beat the last Rios. Suck it. Like this Leviathan did. This place is not too bad. And we get Richard, then we fight a giant worm, who eats Richard. Thanks for coming down, buddy. The rest of the team then punches the worm to dead. After resupplying, time to go up this tower and get the ultimate tome. A pointless item in this run that the last 4 dungeons have been about. So let's make it a 5th. Enemies we fought, but each floor has an element, so I try to equip defense items and reduce the boss elemental attacks. First is the Fire Gigas that decides to cast fire on Richard, because he did 29 damage to the boss. And the Fire Gigas likes to pick on the weak guy, so the team punches the Gigas because bullying is wrong. Ice is next, and he punches Frenion for 810 damage. Probably because Frenion embarrassed him in, you guessed it, the Frenion only run. Luckily, he goes boulders on Maria, which does little damage, and the Gigas goes down. Finally, Thunder. And it starts with an ambush, and Guy gets hit for 1.5k damage. What does not help in this situation is I'm only doing slightly over 100 damage to it. Frenion takes a couple of lightnings to the face, and Richard gets smacked for a little over 800. Then the boss remembers the running joke of mentioning the other run, and kills Frenion off, but Guy and Maria manage to end it. Get a bunch of stat upgrades, as well as a useless tome that doesn't even sell for that much. Summon a dragon, it's time for the fortress. And oh yes, all the overworld enemies have been upgraded. The big threat in the fortress is vampires. Yes, vampires, as they can cast Charm, which is a confusion but as an AoE spell, meaning it can hit multiple party members at once. This is the Llama Queen fight on steroids. So yeah, the party gets wiped, and I just have to hope I don't see that many in a party again. Plenty of tough enemies that deal good damage and status elements, but nothing I can't handle. Unless it's party-wide charm, but we get to the boss, which is in stages. First stage, Joke. Second stage, Joke's so toxic that it carries over to the third stage. The Emperor finally shows up, and Frenion is already poisoned, so that's nice. Emperor blinks to increase its evasion and does okay damage, but it's nothing compared to the power of the fist. Celebration time, but oh no, Dark Knight's taken over. Guess we gotta go stop them now by going for a castle. The enemies are pretty much the same, with some tougher golems that can take a hit and dish out a lot more. But with the power of autosave and tons of healing, I confront the Dark Knight, and the Emperor shows up, and now Leon, who is the Dark Knight, is now on our side. So the gimmick, I guess you could say, of the final 2 dungeons is they're back-to-back, and dear god, just trying to make it through the Jade Passage is a nightmare. High damage, status elements that can really fuck you up, and I can barely make it through, let alone making it through hell. Because when I did make it to hell, I would get bodied a lot harder than the Jade Passage. So I stock up, do some grinding, and get ready for a final push through. This is where I quick save scum like a madman. If I get a bad encounter or the party took too much damage, reload. I decided to skip all the bosses in hell and go straight for the big guy himself, because I don't think I have enough healing items to do all the bosses than the Emperor. So after much saving, reloading, and saving, I finally fight the Emperor. Jesus Christ. So, yeah, he's tough. 0 damage. I was hitting 0, and he could one-shot my party. I try and try again, leveling up slightly just to stood a chance. Eventually getting ribbons for all my party members, so I would stop getting status elements from enemies. I tried to fight Astaroth, the boss before the final boss. Sort of, this is how the final boss fight might go. You see, this boss and the final boss, and some enemies you can encounter throughout this hell, can heal for the amount of damage they do to you. And since my evasion is so low, they can hit for a lot, and therefore heal for a lot. And basically negate my damage. I needed a plan. Step 1. better gear. Yes, you don't have to fight the bosses in hell, but they all drop a piece of the Genji armor set, the best armor in the game. So I went and fought a lot of them after some leveling up. Zombie Borogon is a joke, just like his first boss fight. If this is your first time hearing about this boss and you're confused, don't worry, I skipped it since the Adamantoise boss fight is the actual boss fight, and the Borogon fight after the Adamantoise boss fight is a victory lap. Tiamat, on the other hand, is a lot tougher. Don't do much damage, its elemental attacks don't do much since my magic evasion is through the roof, but when it does decide to attack, it hurts a lot, doing over 1,000 damage. Though it likes casting magic for this fight, so even though some of the time I'm doing less than 100 attack, the boss eventually goes down. Finally is Beelzebub. It's the last boss on this list. Same power as Tiamat, but likes casting status elements as well. The fight gets annoying when it casts Blink on itself, massively reducing the damage I'm doing, but it's not enough without healing itself and the boss goes down. With my new gear and a new sense of power, I go back to fight Astaroth, who reminds me that healing is a powerful thing, and I die. And I die. And I die. Step 2. Ponder, not brainstorm. So this is the point where I wonder what to do. Would even grinding strength and punch stat be enough? This playthrough went on way longer, so I decided to cheat a little. Remember the asterisk at the beginning of the video? I'm not allowed to equip any weapons to either hand. Asterisks. We'll get back to that later. But I can use shields. Yes, shields. Since shields are not doing the damage fists are, it's still technically a fist-only run. Plus, this will increase my defense and my evasion, so this should be doable, right? 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 Wrong. I don't know what to do. One shield cuts my attack in half, so I might as well have 2 shields, and I'm still leveling up fists, so I guess I gotta grind. And so I did for an hour, and hours. And I kept trying, and dying, and dying, and dying, and dying. Until I fought Astaroth without the shield, just my fist, and I won. Sure, Frinion was dead and Maria was low health, but I won. I just needed to do more damage for the boss to use less physical attacks, and it's doable. So I continue to use the shield to train. Since it cuts my attack in half, it means I spend more time punching stuff, which helps level up my strength, but more importantly, my fist stat. I try a couple of times, but no luck, so I went back to grinding for more hours until it was time. Maria gets hit. Frinion gets hit. Then again, dying. Then Leon gets hit. Then Maria. It's now up to Guy and Leon, my weakest and strongest character against the Emperor of Hell, and they die. It's over. It can't be done. The boss physically attacks way too much. I just need a run where he doesn't do it too much. I need RNG Jesus. So I reload the quick save, and a similar story. I'm going to have to grind even more. I'm going to have to get all the characters' fists to level 16. No. I need luck. I need the boss to spam magic. I can do this. I can win. Oh, I won. So yeah, you can use only fists to beat Final Fantasy II Pixel Remaster, but I recommend using a shield just to help level those up a lot faster. Anyway, thanks for watching. I did mention throughout this run, the Oni Frinion run, I recommend go checking that out. It's a challenge run / playthrough where you can watch in multiple parts or one long video. Anyway, till next time, Prince, it's a hint for the next challenge run.
Morse. Marvelous. Together on the track. Let's go. Red sus, red sus. Red sus, red sus. Red sus, red sus. Red sus, sus. Red sus, red sus. Red sus, red sus. Red sus, red sus. Red sus, sus.